The office lights had already dimmed when Nathan froze outside the conference room, his phone trembling in his hand as he stared at the daycare's final reminder. His little son had fallen asleep waiting for him again. At that exact moment, his boss quietly looked up from a stack of papers and asked whether he wanted to stay tonight and finish everything together. The question sounded ordinary, but to a man who had spent 3 years carrying grief, exhaustion, and fatherhood alone, it felt heavier than the walls around him. Maybe you've never stood between your career and the child waiting at home. But if life forced you into that moment, which would you choose? Sometimes the hardest decisions are made by people who have already sacrificed everything. Nathan Harris lived in Columbus, Ohio, where every sunrise felt like another race against time. 3 years earlier, his wife had lost her life after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise 6-year-old Samuel alone. Every morning began before daylight as he prepared breakfast, packed lunches, washed uniforms, and rushed across town before arriving at the engineering firm where deadlines never seemed to end. His co-workers admired his work ethic, but few noticed the quiet sadness hiding behind his tired smile. Every paycheck disappeared into rent, school fees, groceries, and medical bills left from the past. He had stopped dreaming about vacations or promotions. His only dream was making sure Samuel never felt abandoned. His boss, Michael Anderson, was known throughout the company as a demanding executive who rarely mixed emotions with business. He expected perfection, rewarded results, and believed discipline created success. Most employees respected him, but they also feared him. Nathan had always assumed Michael saw him as another employee whose personal life should remain outside the office doors. Whenever late-night meetings appeared on the calendar, Nathan silently worried about who would pick up Samuel from daycare, but he never complained. Pride had become his shield. That Thursday evening brought an unexpected crisis. A major client had discovered an expensive mistake that had to be corrected before sunrise. Everyone was asked to stay late. Phones buzzed, keyboards clicked furiously, and the atmosphere grew heavier with every passing minute. As the room emptied for another meeting, Michael stopped beside Nathan's desk and calmly asked if he wanted to stay the night so they could finish the project together. Around the office, the invitation sounded almost like a privilege. To Nathan, it sounded impossible. Instead of answering immediately, Nathan let out a quiet laugh that surprised even himself. He joked that if his 7-year-old landlord accepted dinosaur drawings as rent and peanut butter sandwiches as legal documents, maybe staying overnight would work perfectly. The room fell silent before several co-workers chuckled. It was a harmless joke, but beneath the humor lived a painful truth. Michael noticed that Nathan's smile disappeared almost as quickly as it had arrived. For the first time, Michael asked a question no one had ever asked before. He wondered who was waiting for Nathan at home. The answer came gently and without drama. Nathan explained that only Samuel was waiting, along with an elderly neighbor who watched him whenever emergencies happened. Missing bedtime stories had become far too common, and every extra hour at work meant another promise broken to a little boy who never complained. Nathan admitted that his son always pretended to be asleep because he knew his father felt guilty when he saw those disappointed eyes. Something shifted inside Michael that evening. Years earlier, he had missed countless moments with his own daughter while building his career. Promotions came. Money came. Respect came. But childhood had quietly disappeared while he chased success. His daughter now lived across the country, and their conversations had become short birthday phone calls instead of memories. Nathan's simple joke opened a door Michael had spent years trying to keep closed. Without making a speech, Michael quietly canceled the overnight work session. He divided responsibilities differently, sent several employees home, and personally stayed behind to finish the remaining reports. Nathan could hardly believe what had happened. For the first time in months, he reached Samuel before bedtime. His son ran into his arms wearing superhero pajamas, asking if they could finally read another chapter from their favorite adventure book. Nathan realized that one ordinary evening had become priceless simply because he was present. The following weeks brought changes nobody expected. Michael introduced flexible schedules for parents, emergency family leave, and remote work options whenever possible. Some executives questioned whether kindness would reduce productivity, but the opposite happened. Employees worked harder because they finally felt seen as human beings instead of machines. Trust slowly replaced fear inside the office. Nathan noticed another unexpected transformation. Michael began leaving work earlier once a week to visit his daughter and grandson. Their relationship remained awkward at first, but healing often begins with uncomfortable first steps. The same man once known for endless overtime meetings now reminded managers that family emergencies deserved compassion instead of punishment. Nobody would have believed such a change if they had not witnessed it themselves. Months later, the company hosted a small family picnic in a public park outside Columbus. Children laughed across open fields while parents forgot about deadlines for one afternoon. Samuel proudly introduced Michael as the man who gave him more bedtime stories. Those innocent words struck everyone standing nearby. Michael smiled, but tears quietly filled his eyes because he understood something many people learn too late. Success is never measured only by profits or titles. Sometimes success is hearing a child say they no longer have to wait alone. Nathan eventually earned the promotion he deserved, not because he sacrificed his family, but because his dedication and honesty never disappeared despite every hardship. He continued working with excellence while making one promise to himself that no paycheck would ever replace another lost evening with Samuel. Life remained difficult. Bills still arrived. Challenges never completely vanished. Yet hope had returned to their small home, and hope often changes everything long before circumstances do. Years later, when Samuel graduated from high school, he thanked his father not for expensive gifts or perfect opportunities, but for always coming home whenever he could. He remembered the bedtime stories, the pancakes shaped like funny animals, and the nights his father chose love over endless work. Nathan smiled through quiet tears, knowing that one exhausted joke in an empty office had unknowingly changed two families forever. A single moment of honesty had reminded one broken father that asking for understanding was not weakness, and it reminded one successful executive that compassion creates a legacy far greater than any business achievement. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were standing in Nathan's place that unforgettable night? If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the importance of family, kindness, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe so more people can experience stories that inspire hope and compassion.